Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to yet another session to Thinking and Destiny. We have been learning mental destiny in detail since long. Before we go further, what wisdom Percival is giving us today, let us connect to his consciousness and meditate few minutes on his consciousness. Please sit in a meditative posture, cross your legs, clasp your hands, and close your eyes. If you have eyewear, please remove it. We don't need it now. Please observe your natural, soft, tranquil breath. Observe how you are taking life force into various parts of your body. Slowly exhale your low vibrating emotions. Make your positive thinking as a passive thinking, which means even without intentional thinking, you should be able to think positive. Exhale all your negative emotions if you have any. Please place your hands on your eyes for a few seconds and open your eyes with a beautiful smile on your face. Before we go further, let's welcome Balagaru to give a summary of what we have learned in our last session. Over to you,
Balagaru. Last week, Prasanna covered section 24, which is self-hypnosis. So in self-hypnosis, recovery of, whoever does self-hypnosis, through that, they get recovery of forgotten knowledge, he says. So here, Percival says, self-hypnosis is the deep sleep into which one puts himself intentionally and controlling of oneself by oneself. That is the self-hypnosis. Here, doer takes control of commands. And in the regular hypnotism, hypnotist takes control of senses and the doer of the subject and puts him into artificial sleep. So that is the difference between the regular hypnotism by a hypnotist and also the self-hypnosis. To hypnotize oneself, one must look or gaze to strain their eyes to go to sleep. This can be done by gazing on a subject or counting numbers or repeating a command. And that is how the hypnotizing oneself starts. Here he uses his own mesmeric power or self-commands to go through nerve channels to go to trance state. He has to give himself the plan of commands of the things to come out of his sufferings or recall the knowledge before going to the trance state. By forming the plan before and giving the order, he forms imprint on the breath form, which carries the instructions and compel the body and senses to act as ordered. So that is how when we give in self-hypnosis, the orders ahead of before we go into the trance state. Then the doer compels the body and senses. Breath form compels the doer of the orders to give itself, that is in trance state, nearly all things. Here, in trance state, he says anything is possible. All the impossible things which we cannot do in waking state, we can achieve in trance state. That's what he says. And from trance state, the doer brings these powers to waking state. In the doer trance state, certain forces are generated and liberated into the body. That's what he says. The self-hypnotism is safer because subject is not under the influence of another doer or hypnotist. Everything a hypnotist can do can be done by the doer itself, he himself. That is by self-hypnotism. In self-hypnosis, one can be in somnambulistic state. That is, he can do things which are impossible for him to do in waking state. That is what he calls somnambulistic state. Example, climbing a tall flagpole, walking on a rope, swimming a river, riding a horse. Those are the things which we cannot do in waking state. He says which we can accomplish through the trance state in self-hypnosis. In the nature trance, one can do impossible things. One can hypnotize himself to see distant scenes, distant places, persons, hear distant sounds, and can stimulate any organs in his body and can repair lesions. One can hypnotize to pass gallbladder and kidney stones, and also increase the circulation in any part of his body, and gradually straighten a bent or deformed limb and cure the disease, remove pathogenic germs, and remove inflammation, and reduce or eliminate tumors. So these are the things which we can achieve by self-hypnosis in a trance state. That's what he's saying. He can also suspend his body to work for a week or a month and can produce death at will. These are this also we can achieve, he's saying. So, even we can suspend our body by going into a samadhi like for a week or a month. One who has hypnotized himself to that end does not feel the pain. Example, Ramana Maharshi and also Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. A knife could run through his arm for a self-hypnotist. A knife could run through his arm, blood would not flow, and the incision would heal quickly. In self-hypnotic state, person can undergo surgery without any anesthesia and without any sensations. In self-induced sleep, one can solve math problems, engineering questions, or diagnose the disease in himself or others. He can recover forgotten knowledge or languages which he knew in previous life. But he cannot acquire new knowledge. He may instruct himself to record what he felt or experienced in the trance state, or he may instruct himself to reproduce in waking state. If he desires, he can be in fearlessness, equanimity, or endurance states in trance state and be directed to be in waking state. What he experienced in that state, he can be directed and can feel in that waking state. Any control over feeling in the waking state can be exercised in this way. Self-hypnotism can be used to accomplish self-improvement in physical, moral, and mental results. To self-hypnotize oneself, it is limited by doubts and fears. He has to be honest and truthful to himself. So these are the important qualities. He says to self-hypnotize, one has to be limited, but not be limited by doubts and fears. He cannot have any doubt and fear. If they have those things, they cannot self-hypnotize themselves. And also they have to be honest and truthful to himself, that otherwise they will be confused. That's what I have for the summary.
Thank you, Undi. Thank you, Balagaru, for the summary. So here, what we want is, so one more point before I add the previous things, before I go further. So here at the end, what he wants is self-hypnotism is only part. So self-suggestion also we started, right? In the self-suggestion. So self-hypnotism is the one that you are influencing, and self-suggestion is the one which you are consciously, you can just give the suggestion to you. How the self-suggestion should be, when you are giving a self-suggestion, it should become the part of your passive thinking. The passive thinking is unknowingly you start thinking, right? So it should part of your passive thinking. That much we have to give a self-suggestion. Suppose if you take, say the kids, if you take, so kids will have a lot of questions, lot of doubts about themselves. So they may think, oh, I want to achieve. Second, immediately I may not be that smart to get there. So these are the questions. So they should always remind themselves that they are smart enough to get what they wanted. So it is only that they have their intention is the one which is main important. So the self-suggestion is always they should give, I can achieve it, I can do it, that kind of thing. Suppose you wanted to run a marathon, but you feel that you have some pain in knee, that ache, all these things you are actually remember. Instead of remembering all those things, you have to self-suggest yourself that you are perfect. You are having a perfect health and you can run the marathon. So once you are suggesting that kind of things within yourself, that thinking will become a passive. So even in the night, you will dream like you are just running the marathon and you got a medal in the marathon kind of thing, right? So these are the things, you should not think, oh, it is a natural. People will think that it is a natural to become a wear and tear. It's natural that at this age we cannot do it. So just because 10 people has done it, it is not a natural. You can do it. So that kind of thing, you should have it. But only thing is, in the self-suggestion, whenever you are giving, you should be honest. You should be honest to yourself, what you want it, exactly what you want it. So that kind of self-suggestion you should, suppose if in your mind there is a contradicting thoughts, even if you give the self-suggestion, this will not help. That is the thing that we have learned so because whatever the thing that you are actually doing, a passive thinking, that is going into your subconscious mind and staying, and you can just pull it up. So, and this passive thinking, you can make it as an active thinking, and then you can achieve the miracles, whatever that you like to have it. This is what we have learned in the self-suggestion also. So we will continue that. Let me share my screen. I brought you some slides here. Okay. So mental healers, what they are trying to do is, mental healers are doing this one. They are concentrating on this one, which they use, because they are saying that you are the whatever the things that they are trying, right? So they are using your the power on you, so that they can do it. Thinking, feeling, acting are done along these lines. Their power is all compelling unless they are clearer, deeper in lines. Then these are the controls. So then you can control yourself when your thinking is very clearer. So unintentional self-suggestion, that is all intentional self-suggestion, right? What is unintentional self-suggestion? What you can do? So unintentional self-suggestion is the one, like, which you are actually gradually making these rules. Unintentional is the gradual making of these ruling signs without knowing it. Without knowing it, you are just making the things. That is what unintentional self-suggestion. Let us think, right? I can give you the example. Suppose you are expecting your kid or your spouse are coming in certain time. Okay. For some reason, they became late. Nowadays, because we are having a phone and we are in the communication, we are in touch. Okay. Suppose they didn't call you. So your mind will go 100 ways. Usually to go in a bad ways. Something might have happened, some accident might have happened, or you won't think that maybe the power is off. They did not have the battery power, that's why they could not inform you. They may be, because this is all unknowingly you are giving a self-suggestion, you are unknowingly thinking something bad to be happened. If you are thinking again and again, it will be the problem. Here also, the unknowing things, suppose if you unknowingly, if you do that one, a good one, then that will become a rule. That's what whether you think a bad or good, that will become a rule, and it will come. It will manifest. The method of self-suggestion should be make them intentionally, and yet not to violate any law. So you are making some self-suggestion intentionally, but whenever you are doing that kind of thing, you should go in a morally right, legally right kind of thing, right? So without that, suppose you are sitting idle at your home. Oh, I need to get a crores of rupees or millions of dollars. How? You work yourself legally, you work yourself and then ask for it. Then you will be able to. So without doing it, if you are just doing a self-suggestion or making a rule, it will not happen. That is what, whenever you are doing it, it should be by law. The power of intentional self-suggestion can be called into a play easily by using the intentionally the unintentional method. Intentionally the unintentional method. That is the power. The self-suggestion, whatever that you are renewing, even if it is unintentionally you are pouring something, so that also will become, because when you are working for it and unintentionally, whatever the unintentional things also, it will come and it will manifest it. The object is to produce the passive thinking along certain lines which will make science the breath form and compel certain kind of action, feeling and thinking. So what it is actually making, the object is producing passive thinking. Whatever that you are giving a self-suggestion, it is going and producing a passive thinking. Active thinking in the sense that which you are actually intentionally doing something, that is an active thinking. Passive thinking, even if you relax, something is going on in your mind. Okay, that is a passive thinking. That kind. So when that will go, when you want something very badly, when you are thinking of a certain object very badly, then that thinking will go into the passive thinking. The object of this passive thinking produce certain lines, certain signs or certain lines which make the signs on the breath form. This breath form, because unintentionally when you are thinking, so this makes signs on your breath form. Okay, so when it is signs on your breath form, it compels to do some action. It is going to give some action or a feeling or a thinking or a being, something you will get it. So when you are actually making it as a passive thinking, you will not, it won't be missing. So that is the, that's what we have to do it. Passive thinking by seeing and hearing something which is unobstructive and is done or occurs habitually, concentrates force in the lines which make it gradually, clearly, deeply. Okay. So I'll give you an example of goals writing. Usually from the kindergarten onwards, the people or the teachers will teach that what is your goal? Break your goal into the sub parts and make it visible at your home. Whenever you get up, you see, look at the goal. Even for us also, it is always good to write what needs to be done and keep it in front of you, right? So whenever you are seeing that again and again and again, you wanted to do that, because when you put some goal, usually the people, that's what the mistake, right? So I wanted to do something. They will start and within 2-3 days, they'll forget in the sense they'll become lazy or something, right? This we see many people, because they lack the self-motivation. When they lack the self-motivation, what are the other ways? Make your passive thinking again and again and again of that thing only. Let us take, I wanted to do exercise every morning. Okay. Every morning when I wanted to do exercise, the morning whenever I get up, the workout, exercise, that word should come. Be regular to your exercise, that kind of thing, the word should come. And also when you are sleeping, just think about the morning, 5 o'clock, I have to get up and do it. 6 o'clock, I have to do the meditation. So whatever the thing, right, you want to do it, be it a workout or a meditation, these kind of things. If you are not self-motivated, there are very rarely the people who are self-motivated, they can, without writing all those things also, they can get. But most of the things, how they are self-motivated, they are actually chanting inside their mind. They are reminding inside their mind. That is why when the mind is actually reminding back when the time comes, that is why that is the self-motivation. Suppose when you are not able to do that mind chanting, you have to do externally do, concentrate some visible things or some hearing things. As soon as your alarm rings, it is a time for meditation. It's a time for meditation. Every 5 minutes, if it is saying, then you feel like, okay, I have to get up. I have to do something. Or if it is there in the visibly in your, whenever you are waking up, you feel that you are, that is, you are making your passive mind, how you are thinking, by seeing or by hearing. Okay, goals writing is the one such an example where whatever the goals, regular to the meditation, regular to the exercise, or I want to achieve this particular goal in my job, whatever it is, you write it down. You write it down, and then you'll be able to achieve that one by seeing that also, right? Previously, I just removed today somebody took my whiteboard. I wanted to learn one sloka, Shanti mantra, right? So I wrote that mantra and kept it here. So whenever I saw here, I used to see that, because whenever I see the Purnamada, Purnamidam, all that thing I used to read. So now I don't need it actually. I don't need it, because seeing again and again and again, it was internalized. So once I started Shanti Mantra, means all the lines will be repeated in my mind and I can just chant it. So that's how you can make one particular thing as a passive habit and make it inside your subconscious mind. Seeing and hearing to be the most effective when done on those times, it makes the deepest impression. Morning, soon after waking, and night before retiring. So that's what, whenever you are actually seeing and think, right? Morning, soon after waking up, whatever that you are seeing. And similarly, when you are retiring to the bed, what is that you are doing it? What is that? If you want to think something, if you want to think on something, inject into your mind before you retire to the bed. Okay. So at the end, at the night, the whole night, there is nothing actually. Okay, once you inject it, at the night, there is nothing you are pouring. So that impression is lost in. That impression will go on to your breath form. So the doer's breath form, the same impression, because there is no interference of the doer, right? So that impression will go into the breath form. When it goes into the breath form, it will affect it. It catches the inner bodies. It catches your inner bodies and it catches your breath form and it will get affected. That is the best way of making it. So whenever you want to do that kind of self, when the physical body is rested, this impression will go and made an impression on your clean sheet, because you are nothing was interfered. So you can make this as a clear. When the ear catches the sound, the three inner bodies and the breath form are affected. When the ear is catching the sound, it is not just the sound, it is going to get affected your three inner bodies as well as your breath form, and so you can so that can make an impression. The doer feels them in the voluntary nervous system through the medium of the inner bodies and the breath form, and in the set of nerve fibers which the doer senses. See how it is going, right? When the doer is feeling, when the doer is actually listening or seeing, so it is going to the voluntary nervous system as a medium of inner bodies and breath form. Through inner bodies and through your breath form, it is going to the voluntary nervous system, which the doer can sense it. Then doer entertains these impressions, whatever the impressions the doer entertains. Okay, my mind is thinking that he entertains that thought process or whatever the thing that they wanted to do it, intentionally made, and thereby it goes into the passive starts. So it will go into the passive starts. Then what will happen? Then the motor nerves of the voluntary nervous system, this voluntary nervous system, motor nerves, will go into the inner bodies of the sensory nerves. Inner bodies, sensory nerves, it goes. And from there, it will go to the involuntary nervous system. When it goes to the involuntary nervous system, without voluntarily, you will be able to remember it, you will be able to do it. So you need to make such an impression that it goes to your involuntary nervous system. Okay, the transfer back and from the involuntary to the voluntary nervous system is made through the pituitary body. So who is making that? It is making back and forth. Who is making it? Is making the pituitary body is making that. And the inner bodies are the magnetic. What are those inner bodies that he's talking about? You know, the outer bodies. There are so many layers. But what are those inner bodies? Inner bodies are having that electric and magnetic and electric matter connecting to the flesh, whatever the flesh that we have, to the breath form. Flesh and breath form together only, our body is there. Once the breath form is gone, your body is just the body. It's just the physical body. It is having just the flesh. It doesn't have any life in it. So the life comes when this physical body, flesh and the breath form is connected. So what is it is getting? The inner bodies are the one which is having that magnetic and electric connection. So they are the one, they are doing this connection between those two. They are exact duplicates. What are those inner bodies? They are exact duplicates of your physical body. Transfer the impressions from the flesh body to the breath form, from the flesh body to the breath form, or vice versa, by means of these nerves. That is what happened when you are giving a self-suggestion. How much science is going inside. When you are giving a self-suggestion, it is not just that mind is remembering, how actually it is turning. Whenever you are giving that, it is first going onto the voluntary nervous system as a media of inner bodies and the breath form, and then it is flowing to the doer senses. Okay, then from the voluntary nervous system, motor nerves, it is going to the inner bodies and sensory nerves. From there, it is going to the involuntary nervous system. So once it goes to the involuntary nervous system, it is going as a pituitary. So the back and forth of that involuntary and voluntary nervous system is connection is making through the pituitary body. And what are those inner bodies? Those inner bodies are nothing but electric and magnetic.
Are these the aura, the aura around us, the electric and magnetic bodies? Probably
that is around us. That is the aura is like the around us. It is also talking about inner thing, because our body and our breath. Okay, so as long as our breath is there, the body is moving, right? The body is moving. So it is just the flesh, but inside the body is also there. When you are showing whatever the photographies are, those things, when the breath form is going, the image is going like this. The light image is going like this. This is also exactly like a physical body, right?
Yeah.
Exactly like that inner body is going. The flesh is staying back. The inner body is going back. That me, that I is going. That is what Ramana Maharshi is asking us. Who am I, right? Oh. That I is going. That this just the flesh is remaining in this earth plane. That flesh is going up. Yeah, I. That I. Who is that I? That is what all that meditation that we are doing. We have to understand who am I. Okay. So if you question yourself, there are so many things. If I say, who am I? I'm Prasanna. It is your name. Who am I? I'm working. It is your job. Who am I? I'm teaching. That's currently that you are doing. Who am I? I'm a parent of so and so. That is through you, your kids came. They are not your kids. Who am I? I'm wife of so and so. Because you just got married in this lifetime. That's God. So who am I again? So the question remains the same, right? So here that is what here that I, whatever that I unto this flesh body. Whatever this flesh body is, connection is happening through the inner body, that breath form, it is actually connecting it, right? The flesh body.
Actually, consciousness. So consciousness is connecting, is traveling through your inner bodies through breath form. Is connecting to the consciousness.
No, that could be there. You may say that consciousness is here the energy. Do you agree?
Yes.
Consciousness is nothing but energy, right? That energy is taking it as a magnetic and electric matter.
Okay.
That energy is only the magnetic and electric matter, he is saying, because that energy is converting into the magnetic and electric matter when it comes to the physical body, right? So it is nothing but the consciousness. You may call it as a consciousness, you may call it as energy. Or here he is saying, because when it comes to the physical body, when it is connecting, it is a magnetic or electric matter that is connecting the flesh body with the breath form and keeping it. It is exactly like a physical body. Okay. That's where we have to make our impression when we are doing this unconditional, unintentional self-suggestion. Next one is, when a passive thinking compels active thinking, then it becomes a thought. When your passive thinking, right, whatever that is there in your mind, when that became passive thinking, you just made that as a passive thinking, and that passive thinking and coming and acting. Oh, you're saying, your mind is saying that you are smart and you can win it. You can do that, this kind of test or whatever it is. Or your mind is saying you can run the marathon. So you start thinking, oh, I'm healthy, I can run a marathon. So what is the next? Where are the marathons are going on in my town in this summer? Can I register? Because then it became a thought. When the evidence of the senses is overcome by the first results of the self-suggestion, faith in this method of healing springs up within the doer. Here he is coming to the healing part, because If you are thinking it's a disease, like as I told you, so I'm feeling, oh, my knee is hurting, I may not able to do it. That is not the thing that I'm doing it, right? Now I'm thinking, I'm giving self-suggestion that I can do because I'm a super healthy person. So what is happening when you are giving this kind of self-suggestion? The healing springs in the doer. So when you are thinking that kind of thing, the healing is happening in your body, happening in the doer. When the power of the faith is added, because when you doubt it, right, then again it's a problem. Last session we talked about faith also. When the faith power is also added, then the cure will surely be made if it is possible. So sure, because you are thinking, you should not have any doubts or questions when you are actually thinking about it. When you are thinking that the faith is also added, right, then definitely this will cure. Firmness of the impression made by the repetition of the powerful formula with further increase. Astonishing results is obtained by repetition of simple formula, provided it starts passive thinking and nature imagination. Okay, here it is saying power of thinking, power of passive thinking, and is going from the active thinking. And from active thinking is again the nature imagination, that you are imagining that, oh, I'm walking with all of my co-runners, and I'm getting, so this is all nature imagination. You imagine. That is why many meditations, they say visualizations, right? Visualization techniques they taught us, so that when you are visualizing it, that's how, because you are thinking that is already happened. When it is already happened, how you will react to it, respond, how you will react when that particular thing is happening to your life, right? So that's how nature imagination, you just induce. Nature imagination can be induced by seeing as well as hearing. So you can induce that imagination by seeing or hearing. So same formula here. The formula is you are having that confidence. I'm doing it. I can do it. That kind of thing, right? So when one reads the formula aloud. So here, let us take one formula. Let us say a mathematical formula or one formula that you wanted to remember. Let us take, when you are reading that formula out loud, here he took another example, not the disease example. Here he took another example. When you are reading it, what happened? Your ears are sensing it. Your heart, once your heart hears, your ears are hearing it. Sense impressions come through the optic as well as auditory nerve. So you are seeing the formula, reading it, and your ears are also hearing it. So auditory nerves as well as optic nerves, both the nerves are actually doing it. Increase their power to start the passive thinking. To start if you remember, right, when you are as a kid, they used to force us to read out loud. Do you remember? Nowadays, kids are actually, I don't know how they are actually doing it. They keep the earplugs and they keep a song and then they will read. Whether this is focusing here or whatever they're studying, focusing, I don't know how that works. It never worked for me. So it was. So here also is saying, when you are seeing the optic nerve with the one thing, and the same thing when the auditory nerves are also going, it is increasing the power to start the passive thinking. Whether you are reading also, when you are reading, when you are seeing and hearing the same thing, then see how, suppose, let us take, you are doing some parayana. Okay, because Thursday being Thursday, people did parayana. So I took that example. So when you are reading that parayana, if they say that offline you read the 2 chapters and report, then offline you'll start reading it, right? When you are reading it, your eyes goes faster than what you are actually reading it, because you must have read that chapter so many times. Your eyes goes faster, but it's gone. Means you can read just like that. But when you are reading out loud, what will happen? You will take at least 15 to 20 minutes to read a chapter, because you have to focus. Your optic nerves are focusing on the letters. And when you are reading out, that is going back into your ears and you are trying to process, understand that. You can say, if it is wrong, you can observe that. You take one chapter, anywhere, you take one chapter, read it, just leave it. Just read it and leave it, and also read out loud and see the impact. In what way you can understand more. You yourself can get able to understand that. Even when I'm preparing for this class, right, I may not read out loud, but definitely I will read line by line. means I will not skip that kind of thing. If it is like not a class, then I will read just like that. I'll just turn on the page. I may miss the points, but whenever I have to teach, I will read line by line, try to process it, understand it. So that means you are actually reading and internalizing the things. So that's how it should be. So hearing and optic nerves and this one is so important. That's what when you are taking both the things, you are able to do that. Here, anything can be cured with the self-suggestion. Anything, like just now as self-hypnotism, Balagar explained from the last class, anything can be cured in the self-suggestion also. Practice the self-suggestion. That is what you need to do it. Once you do it, anything that can be practiced in that manner, you can do it. If self-suggestion is practiced in a manner, it will change almost any condition of the physical body, from the disease to health. All pains, blemishes, malfunction, overweight, underweight, eruptions, inflammations, ulcers, abnormal growths, fevers, diseases of sexual nature, or diseases of the stomach, bowels, bladder, or kidneys, the blood, heart, or lungs, of the nervous system. What else is left? Everything is pointed out, right? All the body parts he pointed out. So everything can be cured if you are giving your own self-suggestion and you are acting accordingly. Treat the constitution as a whole, not a special affliction by self-suggestion. What here he meant is treat the constitution as a whole. That means, suppose there is a knee pain, let us take, I have to heal this pain. No, don't do that. If you are doing that, what will happen is, here is saying is, once you are healing one particular part of the body, it may get healed, but that pain goes and shows up in another place. So treat this as a whole. No, don't think that only that I'm very healthy, I'm running the marathon, I could run the marathon. So because you are not actually, because if you to run a marathon, if knee pain is gone, if the hand pain comes, you cannot run, right? So you are actually manifesting, or you are actually self-suggesting as a whole, not a particular affliction. So you don't do that one. That's what he is saying. One can afflicted with the feelings of the fear. Yeah, not only that of physical things, also what you can come out of is, you can come out of the feelings of fear, despondency, indolence, bashfulness, or lack of confidence can be removed and substitute with their opposites. The lack of confidence you can do with the confidence, all those things, right? So you can substitute with the fear. Instead of fear, you can be very confident, fearlessly you can do the things. Self-suggestion, one may get himself into the train of thinking which cure lying, dishonesty, cupidity, cowardness, selfishness, and other moral dependencies also. Not only these emotions, but also the bad the things are like lying. So the people, some of the people, for every small thing, they start lying, right? So dishonesty, all those things also with self-suggestion. I can never be the dishonesty. I will always tell the truth. So you give that kind of self-suggestion. So with that, you can also remove these things also. Intellectual shortcomings can be rectified by self-suggestion. Intellectual shortcomings, if there is any, the power can be acquired to think clearly, to distinguish, classify, abstain from the irrelevant discussion. So see, abstain from the irrelevant discussion. Suppose you went to a party or you went to a gathering, somebody is talking about somebody else which is not relevant to you, which is not useful either to them or to the other party or to you. Nobody it is helpful, but still people are talking. So sometimes when you don't know all these things, you may be participating. That kind of discussions. But when you are clearly thinking, when you are giving a self-suggestion, when you know that you should not go to such a kind of discussions, when the through self-suggestion, you can keep yourself away from those kind of irrelevant discussions. So as a whole, you can change not only the physical ailments, but also your mental ailments, your emotional things, and also your kind of behavior. Whatever the behavior that you have to have it, that also can be removed or can be adopted with the kind of self-suggestion. Anything is possible with the self-suggestion. That is what he is saying it. Here, the proprietary further depends on the comprehensiveness of the formula. Comprehensiveness of the formula, that you need to depend on the comprehensiveness of the formula. You should not depend on that, okay, I need this or I need that. As I told you, I only need that kind of, for this should be gone up, nothing like that. You should comprehensively should give that, the doer should give in the breath form. So when that breath form was impressed, the light of intelligence, with reference to the light of intelligence, the doer within himself has that light of intelligence. That light of intelligence comes and he balances the thoughts. When the light of intelligence comes, you will not have that kind of like, okay, this is good or this is bad, because you yourself know. Nobody need to come and tell you. You know yourself that what is good or what is bad, what should be done, what should not be done. Okay. And this kind of self-suggestion, once you know, you can teach to anybody. What he is saying is, nobody should get money or should take money. No money or no other physical benefit should be received in imparting this science of teaching. What is the science of teaching? The self-suggestion. So it is nothing but a kind of a meditation, right? So that kind of practice, when you are doing, you should not get any money. That's what he is saying. I remember this from anyone. Okay.
So what the slides? Okay. Huh? The slide is, yeah.
No,
I think you need to.
That was not there. Yeah. No, that is not
okay.
there.
It's not there. Okay.
So here is an example of physical well-being, right? What is that? So here is your affirmation to become the physical well-being. Every atom in my body, thrill with the life to make me well. Every molecule within me carry health from cell to cell. Cells and organs in all systems build for lasting strength and youth. Work in harmony together by the conscious light as a truth. See how beautiful the lines are. So this is our practice as a whole, right? As a whole, to have the physical well-being. Every atom in my body, every atom in the body is thrilled with the life, because the consciousness, the life is here, the consciousness to make me well. The consciousness is dancing and thrilling in my body. Every molecule within me carrying the health from cell to cell. They are carrying the health only from cell to cell, not the disease. Just the health only carrying. Cells and organs in my system, right, are having everlasting strength and youth. They are having a lot of strength, everlasting strength. They don't lose their strength. They don't lose their youth. Work in harmony together. They are working harmony together by the conscious light. You are having that conscious light, the light of intelligence, by the conscious light as a truth. So these are your lines. So I'll just put in the group also these lines. So practice these lines. This is your practice of well-being. So what is the practice of what is the practice of moral improvement? Whatever I think, whatever I do, myself, my senses, be honest, be true. This is your moral thing. The previous thing is your physical well-being, and now this is a moral well-being. Whatever I think, whatever I do, myself, my senses, myself and my senses, be honest and be truthful. This is what you need to do for yourself. Okay. I'll stop here, but it doesn't. I'll give you some more slides were done for that. Okay. The cures here, the cures was accomplished by the self-suggestions are no more real than the cures made by the medicine. No more real than the cures made by the medicine, surgery, or by the mental healing. At the best, all these methods, healing by the physical or a mental means, can restore normality of the time during which the signatures of the disease or impediment is weaker than the signatures of the cure. So when your disease signature is weaker, so it is making your self-suggestion, what it is making, actually the medicines or anything, if you are saying, it is actually treating you the symptoms of the disease. It is not actually treating you the root cause of the disease. When you are actually doing the self-suggestion, it's a signature. The self-suggestion signature is becoming a stronger than the signature of your disease on your body. When the self-suggestion disease is stronger, then it will become cure. It is not same as the medicine, but it is more than that. This system of self-suggestion agrees with the evidences of the senses, is the in the honest in statement. So agrees in the evidence of the senses in the honest, because it is impressing upon your senses. Whatever that you are thinking, it is impressing upon your senses, and it is making an honest statement, a true thought, a simple application, a free from taint of money paid in the mental healing. You are not even paying anything in the mental healing. Mental healing you are paying, but here you are not paying. Enables ones to cure himself. That enables him to cure himself, follows an ordinary course of human thinking, and reaches far enough to comprise all possible taints, not only the physical body, but inner bodies, inner senses, breath form, and the doer. Not only that, just the physical body, it is going beyond the physical body, it is going to the inner bodies, senses, breath form, and as such, the doer. So this is the this is how the self-suggestion, the healing is happening. Doubt is the efficacy in this method. If you are doubt, then it's the reasoning is about it will not prevent working a cure. That will not prevent. However, if one's destiny does not permit to respite which would be afforded by this method, they will come with the conviction that cure is impossible. That is what he is saying. Suppose in your destiny, some disease is there which you have to take, means which you have to take the pain in this lifetime. Then what will happen? Your self-suggestion will not work. Why it will not work? The doer, he himself will not convince that it is possible. So he himself will not convince. Somehow if he get convinced and if he is possible and if he is able to do it, he can do it. But when that particular thing is there in your destiny, then whatever you tell, you will not, it will not reach. That's how people will say, oh, I'm going and telling her many times to do the meditation, but she is not doing it. What is that? It should be there in their destiny also. Internally, they should get convinced and to come to it. So even though if you're thinking you can cure the disease, that person, if that destiny should be there that he can be removed. If the destiny is there that he has to undergo that particular disease, how much you tell, then that particular person will not listen to you, and he'll say, oh, enough is enough. How can, by thinking, how can I cure my disease? So many doctors, so many surgeries couldn't cure, but now you are saying that it can cure. It is not possible. That's how he will say. So it is not effective because he himself is not actually agreeing. The system of curing disease is subject to the objection that postpones the day of reopening. It's a subject to the objection. So how the day you're going, it is not opposed to the law of thought. It works with it. It is not opposed to the law of thought. If the law of thought, if you are making a thought, then only it will work with it. It won't go against the thought. The repetition of the formula will lead ultimately the balancing the thought, that is the disease. Balancing that thought removes the cause, and so the cures the disease. So ultimately, if you are actually go on saying that, okay, I'm going to be okay, I'm fine, I'm healthy kind of thing. So ultimately, somewhere it is balancing your thought. So, and when the thought was balancing, your disease is getting cured. The lines made on the breath form by the formula, whatever the lines that made on the breath form by the formula, will compel the feelings and desires to run the grooves. In this way, feelings and desires are changed formally. Formally, you are saying that, oh, I have a pain, I cannot run. Now you are actually compelling yourself that I'm healthy and I can run the marathon. Because when you are actually compelling on yourself firmly, then your thinking and your desires are also changing as per your as per the lines that you are giving the formula. The lines will also concentrate the knowledge which the doer has the subject to the formula. They will also not only do it, they will also go and see the knowledge that they have on the formula, whatever the things. The doer feels the comfort, ease, joy, sympathy, and thinks clearness, steadiness, and profitability. So he will always, when the formula is made on your thinking again and again, so he will have very clear vision, clear understanding. For millions of years, nearly all human beings have been unable to hold the light of intelligence steadily on moral, abstract, and noetic subject. They are not able to hold that light of intelligence. If they can able to hold the light of, if we are all saying that you have that light, you have that power within you. Only thing is, from the millions of years, what is the problem? The human is not able to hold that light of intelligence within. When steadily he is not able to. Once he is able to hold that light of intelligence on his moral, noetic subjects, then he can able to. He can balance his thoughts. When he is balancing his thoughts, he is able to manifest it. Most human beings are too feeble. They generate the thoughts of subject directly and they just do the opposite. They are so feeble in their thoughts. It is almost impossible for the run of human beings to think out of themselves the moral thoughts that will produce the moral acts. And there is no immediate moral background or no steadiness of thinking. If you are not having steadiness, it will, whatever the thoughts that you are giving, that is the one which is actually balancing the thoughts and it is coming. Impossible. The humans, even though how many times your thinking is the one which you are making the destiny, it's many times the people are not actually listening to that, are actually not believing that. Therefore, the system of self-suggestion is offered and provide a way of passive thinking that will induce the active thinking study enough to let one look into the balanced thoughts. So that is why the system of passive thinking is inducing the active thinking. So whenever you are putting all the passive thinking, that is actually inducing into the active thinking and it is balancing your thoughts. When it is balancing your thoughts, you are able to achieve or you are able to manifest the things in your way. That is what the self-suggestion. I have given you each and every point because this self-suggestion is very, very important because for everything you can apply in your life. That's the most important thing is the visualization or nature imagination, all those things. Every point you can imagine or you can just have it in your life for anything that you want to manifest. So with that, I will close that self-suggestion, the section 25 of mental destiny for today. And coming class was very interesting. I feel so Eastern movement, right? Because we all came from East and living in the West. So we will see what is this Eastern movement and what is this Eastern record of knowledge and how this Eastern knowledge got degenerated. So we have a lot of knowledge in the East, how this East especially, he referred India only. Here he referred the mostly East is mostly coming because the entire knowledge, the whole knowledge is coming from India. And how and why this knowledge got degenerated. I feel so amazing sitting in US, sitting in New York when he is able to get all those things and how he is able to get like from where the knowledge coming from, where the knowledge is evolved, how they got degenerated, how it is again coming back, all the things that he was explained beautifully. That we will see in the next class. And today I'll open up if there is any discussions or if you want to share anything on this self-suggestion. You're welcome.
Yeah, for this self-suggestion, Louis says the practice